I left the big city. I left all that stress. I left everything behind to live in the woods on my own for 21 months and 3 days. This is my journey of self-sufficiency, spirituality, and soul-searching. A portion of this video is sponsored by Verde Health Syrup. What is an off-grid influencer? They are quite strange. It's an unusual niche, that's for sure. Off-grid influencers are people who left civilization in order to live in the woods on a homestead, nomadic lifestyle in a van, or that sort of thing. Ignoring any sort of specific way of living, the key idea is that you and your family are completely self-sufficient and live your life using your skills and your natural environment to stay alive. That's the appeal of these off-grid influencers. They let us live out this fantasy of calm, isolated self-sufficiency. However, not everything is as clear-cut as it may seem at first glance. Off-grid influencers espouse the benefits of the lifestyle, saying how beneficial it is to remove consumerism and be self-sufficient, but in reality, they are simply selling a fantasy and rely on the audience's consumerist tendencies in order to pay for it. Alright, so for more video, I thought it might be appropriate if I tried to live off-grid for a day. You know, a life away from all that stress and nonsense and all that, but I'm like kind of lost in it. I mean, there is kind of wilderness here, like, oh, there goes the birds. @VanWives is a brand created by Jazz and Crystal. They're Instagram creators, YouTubers, and TikTokers. They post to all 3 platforms regularly, each with content designed to suit each platform on its own. They also have their own Patreon page, which with members-only updates, and the highest tier donators get to text directly in the group chat with the VanWives. They originally rose to prominence through posting about their adventures living in their van, their nomadic lifestyle. However, they eventually settled down and bought a cabin deep in the woods and now share their adventures fixing it up. They sell the fantasy of a sapphic, off-grid homesteading lifestyle. One of the deep intrinsic paradoxes of the off-grid lifestyle is that you still need money to live, despite trying to be disconnected from society in order to obtain any sort of reasonable standard of living. You still need money. You still need healthcare, electronic devices. You still need to pay rent, to pay for gasoline, and you often still need to pay for food and water, for construction equipment and materials. Often because of the remote nature of off-grid living, these expenses can build up much quicker than you would expect. Off-grid living in its simplest form can be cheaper than on-grid living, but it doesn't provide very engaging content whenever you're living the most bare-bones simple lifestyle. Therefore, influencers are required to be constantly starting new projects, which can get very expensive. As such, influencers need income, and this comes in the form of influencing. They make revenue through getting views, through sponsorships, and through merchandise, often health supplements, therapy ads, that sort of thing. Alright, so here's the update. I've been walking around this road for like hours, like, I don't know, 4 hours or something. And basically, I feel like I'm getting somewhere, because it's like pretty wildernessy around here. I mean, not completely. There's like still a road and there's still cars that like zoom past every, moment or whatever, but it's been pretty good. So hopefully I found the wilderness soon. For example, the brand VanWives was sponsored by this supplement company.
Thank you to one of our long-term partners, AG1 by Athletic Greens, for sponsoring this week's video. It is an easy and convenient decision that you can make every day to care for yourself.
Joby Deer Chu has 106,000 followers on Instagram. She posts pretty pictures from camping trips and makes calming day-in-the-life content. She is prominently sponsored by clothing brands like Mark's Clothes, think Kelly Hansen, Carhartt, Levy. Clothing brands work closely with influencers to associate the wilderness with their particular branding. The article The Conscious Consumption of Wilderness or Leisure Lost in the Wilderness by William L. Rice argues that through social media, the virtues of wilderness are lost through the commodification of the experience. Often, apparel brands choose to align themselves with a wilderness ethic by placing logos or names of wilderness-friendly organizations, or agencies, or simply the names of wilderness areas on their products. As Beringer 2002 argues, this appropriation is key to transforming the virtues of wilderness into wealth. However, in order to sell their content to advertisers, they must be constantly working on selling their fantasies. The Enchanted North, nature, place, and gender in off-the-grid social media representations. This article, written by Emelie Larsson and Jenny Ingridsdotter, takes a close look into the influencers in the remote north of Sweden and their lives. It provides an illustrating example of the stressors that influencers face. It seems in the case of Floden and many others situated in a digital terrain that the divide between work and leisure has collapsed in a sense that not even the freer life he sought in nature could prevent it. In the video, Floden 2002b continues, "Every time I'm taking a break, just laying out in the lawn, just watching the clouds, I have this voice inside of my head telling me, you should do a video right now. You should write another book." Well, it's been hard, but I've been, walking around, and after a long time, I think I did it. I think I found the wilderness. So I'm just going to be off-grid for a little while. Even when these influencers try to escape society and go back to their roots with a much simpler lifestyle, they still bring all of the stress and work of influencing with them. The Influencers Are Not All Right by Madeline Howard makes this point quite clear. Regardless of her undeniable internet prosperity, Nogueira has spoken openly about the way her self-worth, body image, and depression have suffered from being online. There's so much pressure to perform. It's a competition with yourself, and it's toxic and damaging, she says. This competition is characterized by the need to make each piece of content more successful than the last, Nogueira says. It really is an addiction. And while many influencers think about pulling back on the curtain, there's pressure to hide it, their struggle, because it's not on brand or good for selling products. Ultimately, they're beholden to the brands. The dissonance between the internet and reality is painful for everyone and pushes influencers to mask serious health issues while promoting lifestyles that aren't sustainable for anyone. These influencers, and all the different shapes and forms they come in, they all have the similar goal and method of selling you a fantasy of a stress-free, simple lifestyle away from society and civilization. Ultimately, they are just selling you a fantasy, and in reality, their lifestyle is almost a complete contradiction of what they claim they have, where it's often incredibly stressful, busy, hard work, hard labor. And because their lifestyle is so expensive, they have to push their followers in order to buy their merchandise, accept their brand deals, and they simply sell and become part of the endless cycle of consumerism that modern society is. In conclusion, off-grid influencers love to espouse the benefits of the lifestyle, but the only way for them to make income from influencing is to sell out their core beliefs. Their foundation is to share a sustainable, stress-free lifestyle from escaping the modern consumerist world, but the only way for them to get brand deals is if they sell their fantasy which is incompatible with their lifestyle. After this adventure, I think maybe the real lesson is don't live your off-grid lifestyle through your phone. Maybe just go outside and touch grass. It's been really nice. It's a nice day. You should go out and do something.